This is jacked up.
I've got a lot to say, can't hold it in this time. Got no filter, I got no filter. 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 No filter, I got no filter.
Welcome to Paramotor Hangout Tuesday night. We've got a great show lined up tonight. We are going to talk about flying across the state of Florida this past weekend, and one other thing. So before we get into the cross country thing, I want to bring up this video that showed up on everyone's news feed, and I'm sure between being sent text messages, Facebook messages, whatever you want to call it, talking about mid-air collision and how it's each and every one of our responsibilities to fly safe, even when somebody else doesn't. Before we get into that, I'm sorry, I'm jumping into it. I got all excited, Will. Sorry. Hey,
all right, man.
God. Well, I know you just walked through the door more or less, and why'd you just get into the door now?
Because I spent the night last night at a Cracker Barrel, which I could highly recommend. I mean, good coffee and good food, and man, I had me some country fried steak. I hadn't had that in a long time. I even had some macaroni and cheese topped with bacon. But tell me that doesn't sound good.
I'm trying to come up with macaroni cheese and bacon.
What a bump. Thank you, Angela. So, yeah, I just walked in the door, and long drive, but it was well worth it. Yeah, absolutely.
Mark, what did you do this past weekend?
Took a little tour of Florida and had a good drive both directions. That all went real well. Had a good time.
Yeah, you went both ways.
Yeah, you went east, west, north, south.
All over the place.
Mark was definitely all over the state of Florida this past weekend. Real quick, how would you rate that brisket that did not have a very good bark on it, but whatever?
That brisket was real good. Boy, I cooked one a week ago and burnt the two ends on it. Very disappointing. Yours was super.
That's what they call burnt ends. That's what they're for.
Yeah, that was the wrong kind of burn ends.
I'm not an expert on brisket, but I can tell you, I think that was your best one yet.
It was good. The flavor was good. It just didn't have a good bark like I would like to have had on it. Which I can always nitpick my cooking every time. But it's I know what it's supposed to be, and I know what it is, and that's why I can nitpick at it. So, Will, do we want to bring up real quick this mid-air collision video, and so we can start talking about it?
Absolutely.
Before we talk about this cross country, which is going to take the rest of the show because it was a lot of stuff that happened.
Yeah. And also I'll preface it with, let's try not to judge too harshly. Let's see if we can use this as something to learn by, and keep this from ever happening again. Let's see. And let's see. Can you see that?
Yes.
All right. So this is the best I could do on short notice. So let's go for it.
It's kind of already started.
Huh.
You got to read back. Uh-oh. Whoa.
Okay, so technical difficulties. Let's talk about the cross country temporarily while I get the people I pay to do my videos to do a better job.
All right, so let's go ahead and just let's talk about how we set this up. How long ago was it? A month or two? That, oh,
At least. At least.
yeah. I mentioned something about wanting to fly across the state of Florida. Did I really truly understand what it takes to do that? Not a clue. You assume that you just get in your paramotor, you launch, you land it somewhere, you refuel, you take off, you do it again, and it's so much more than that. Thankfully, Will had the time and the patience to sit down and come up with a plan, if you will. Um, we have a couple of airspaces that we had to avoid. So overall, it was roughly about 151 miles across the state of Florida from the point where we took off. Now I would have volunteered to drive all the way down to Miami and made like a 15-minute flight from the nose or the tip of Florida. Just, but
We could have crossed the Keys.
Yeah.
we could have just flown down to the end of the 7 Mile bridge and came back on one tank and been golden. So I will tell you, we woke up at 2 o'clock Saturday morning and we drove to the west coast of Florida. We were already starting on the east coast, but the winds were more prominent coming from the west to the east. So we drove 2 o'clock in the morning over to Venice, Florida, and we got over there, and there was a cold front that was supposed to have blown through the night before, and when the sun come up, it hadn't blown through, and it was strong winds and just absolutely not flyable in the right direction of winds, too strong of winds. So we pretty much headed back home. Everybody, Will, Mark, Krista, myself, we got back. We all went and took a nap, not necessarily together, but
Yeah, we split up into teams.
yeah.
One way and you and Chris went the other way.
I don't know what you guys did or where you went, but I know where I went. I was out, dude. I was done, and I think it was about a 3 hour nap, to be honest with you. So, long story short, I'm exhausted. We get up. We were talking about what happened, why it didn't happen, whatever. And Will comes in and sits down, and it's like, so you guys aren't interested in doing this? And I'm like, well, I'm kind of beat. Just the whole driving thing and getting up early, not getting a lot of sleep, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, I really want to do it. I'm like, okay, fine, we'll do it. And we looked at it, and the winds were coming more out of the east on Sunday. Mr. Mark McElroy wasn't really, and I don't, dude. I'm telling you right now, if it wasn't for Will, I wouldn't even have bothered to have tried. I was exhausted. But Mark decided to Sunday morning he was going to go where, Mark?
Back home, back to Georgia. That was my plan all along, was to go back home Sunday morning.
Which
I
was
work Sunday through Wednesday.
a great decision. By the time we got the Sunday flight across the state done and drove back to the East Coast, what did we get back? 11:15, 11:30 at night.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And some of us had to get up at 7 o'clock to go to work the next morning after spending all day doing some exhausting stuff. Let's just say Monday sucked for me. But, all right. So, Will, before we get going on this, did you get that taken care of or no?
I do believe so.
All right, let's take care of this mid-air collision thing, and then we will get back into this. I'm telling you right now, I'm talking fast because we have an hour and a half worth of information about this cross-country thing, but I really feel that this mid-air collision, one, could have been avoided, two, lessons to be learned, and I feel that's way more important for the first part of the show. So let's do it.
I agree. All right, I hope this one works a little better. Can you see it?
Yes.
So there you have it.
So let's talk about the pilot in the background. How many flights does it say that he had in the description?
4 is what I read.
Same here, 4. Now the pilot in front is supposedly experienced flyer, but so what the description is talking about is the pilot that had 4 flights was flying along. This other pilot decided he's going to do a wingtip touch with no communication. Is my understanding to this. I could be wrong, but in my opinion, what I read, that's what I thought I read. So he went in for a tip touch. The pilot who has, first of all, anytime you do a tip touch with any pilot, whether they have experience or not, there's communication of whether or not you're going to do it. And I don't believe there was at this on this. And so this, let's call it loosely terms, experienced pilot actually passes the new pilot, the beginner pilot, and as soon as he gets in front of it, he dumps the throttle. So what happens? The A lines of so whether or not the streamer that was on the, I hate using the word experience for this guy, this older pilot may have caused the wings to get interlocked, but I can tell you right now, when that prop hit the front leading edge of that glider, it got the A lines got stuck behind his prop. And for a midair collision in that situation, please tell me why the person that caused this accident did not shut his motor off. He landed and his motor was still bouncing off the ground, or his prop was. Why?
Yeah,
Why
I don't know. I mean, I would take it. Go ahead, Mark.
I'm sorry. I heard that question was asked of him, and he said because he was flying them to the ground.
I cannot disagree with that because I don't know the whole story. I mean, I couldn't see the guy's motor behind. I couldn't see what was going on there. I mean, I just don't know how to answer that question. I can say, though, that in my opinion, the whole thing should have been completely avoided. I would never, even if I communicated with somebody who only had 4 flights, I would never attempt to do a wingtip touch with them. They're not experienced enough. I mean, you can tell them to do this, and this, and they'll say, yeah, and they're not going to do it.
And especially at that low altitude.
Yeah.
They weren't. So, they always talk about, Bell Waller always talks about don't be a D-bag. I think at the very end, that last clip, I would like to make a sticker of that particular pilot sitting on his butt and put above it, don't be a D-bag, and sell those stickers. I think it would be just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
Well,
all right.
So what can we take away from this? I mean, so Linda posted a really good question. She asked, are wingtip touches safe?
I will tell you that the only thing that I can think of, I mean, if you have somebody, first of all, you always have to have one person, which I call the aggressor, which is to come in to do the wingtip. You can't have 2 pilots coming together to do it. One person has to fly straight and level. The other pilot comes in and touches and then veers off. That last 1 to 2 feet before the wingtips touch, they push together or they pull together real quick. Mm-hmm. And each pilot has a natural reaction to pull away from. So if you're on the right and you feel you're getting sucked into the left, you naturally pull right, opposite for the pilot on the left, who's going to pull left because he's getting sucked to the right. But I believe both pilots walked away unharmed, correct? Or uninjured?
Yeah, well, as far as I know. And really, that could have gone terribly wrong real quick. So I guess, in my opinion, I say, yeah, wingtip touches are safe. But I didn't do my first wingtip touch until with Dave, right, up in Purdon's last year. So it's not that I was afraid. It's just that I wanted to make sure that the person who was going to do it knew what they were doing. And and even so, man, I'm just like, I've got my hands on the toggles and I'm afraid to move an inch, you know? I'm looking at him, but I was like, I wanted to stay as steady and solid as I could, and let him do what he needed to do. So I say they're safe, but it should be something that the other pilot, you've coordinated I coordinated it on the ground of who's doing what and how. If there's any questions, it should be answered on the ground.
Right.
And along with, if things don't go right, what do you do?
I think if you pull in front of somebody, dumping the throttle is the last thing to do. You should be hitting the throttle trying to climb out of there. And even if you're the person in the back, I don't think you should be dumping the throttle either, because that's going to force your wing to come forward. Just as you lose your throttle, the wing's going to come forward, which could possibly, if you're depending on how close you are, end up hitting the back of the guy in front of you, who shouldn't be there anyways. You know how much space is up there? Why are you colliding with another glider? It just makes no sense.
Yeah, I would say borderline. It's rude to approach another pilot without their permission like that.
Yes.
And I don't know if the other pilot he had the other pilot's permission or not. So I'm not judging him. I'm just saying that, if you don't know the guy, and just, it's a big freaking sky. There's plenty of places to go fly. So anyways, I'm super glad those guys are okay.
Me as
Yes.
well.
Yeah, thank God he didn't get in that prop. Can you only imagine how bad that could have been?
Yeah.
The pilot himself, yeah.
I'd love to talk to somebody who I don't know if anyone actually saw it when it happened, but I'd love to talk to them about the streamers, if they played any role whatsoever in the them coming together.
Hey, Scuba Steve here. I'm telling you right now, if this had happened to me, if somebody had pulled in front of me, the same scenario, I was the guy that was wrapped up behind the prop. I'm telling you right now, dude, everything he's got, if he don't have enough money to cover my gear, he's selling everything he's got on the local marketplace until he gets enough money to buy my crap. I don't care how he gets home, but dude, I'm telling you right now, it would have turned out much differently if that had been me. Especially that particular person. I just would have. It would not have been good.
Yeah, well, okay, so that's a good question. So if you do something that damages another pilot's equipment, and now I'd say if you got two experienced pilots and they're saying, hey, yeah, we're going to go up there and we're going to do A, B, C, and D, and something goes wrong, then that may be a different situation. They're actually trying to, you know what I mean? But
Right.
if you're doing something that damages somebody else's equipment, and that party had, gave no consent to whatever, I'd say, yeah, you should be buying them new equipment or fixing them, anything to make them whole.
Yes, correct. And on four flights, guess what? That's if that was all brand new equipment when he started flying, you're buying me all brand new equipment. I'm
Probably
just
pretty new. Does anybody in the chat know who the pilot in the back was?
Yeah, do we know who the the beginner pilot? I don't want to call him rookie, but beginner pilot was that got entangled with the D-bag.
You do know him? I mean, you know who it is?
Who? Me?
Oh no, I'm asking.
No, I don't know. I'm waiting for someone in the I'm waiting for somebody in the chat to say they do or don't. I would like to. Yeah. I'd honestly like to get a hold of the guy and talk to him and find out exactly, what if there was communications, what have you. All right, Will, I'm gonna go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to say one more thing. I'd like to get in touch with the guy, because at 4 flights, that could make or break your flying career. I mean, you could say, to hell with this, man. This is not a safe sport, blah, blah, blah. And I would like to encourage him, that this is not acceptable behavior. And
correct.
Not the way things go.
So. Okay. Well, I'm gonna get up and go get another beverage. If you could start our Saturday or Sunday morning cross country adventure story. I'll be right back.
I do believe I can. Let me pull this up.
Oh, if you're gonna show video,
Now
I can still see.
show video.
I can still see. I'll be back.
All right. Nice. Do this right here. And there we go. All right. So roughly, Mark, are you able to kind of go over that with what our route plan was? Possibly.
Yeah, I can't see it very well.
Medic, get down. Sorry. You guys have changed everything about my game room, and I hate it.
Okay, you can't see it?
You okay?
Yeah, I can see it. There you go. Now it's much bigger.
Yeah,
that's what she said.
There's good.
There you go. Well, if not, maybe Shane, you could. I'm gonna also pull up some other stuff.
Shane could what?
The general route that we flew, or we're flying.
Listen, I'm here as the face of the group.
Face will start telling them about where you took off and where you went.
Okay, so technically, we took off from Sebastian Airport, which is in Sebastian, Florida. From there, we went across the river, which was only supposed to be, well, actually, technically, we got a late start Sunday morning. I think I launched about 10 minutes after sunrise, or 10 minutes after we could launch or what have you. And then we had some difficulties on another pilot's launching. So I flew around for a little bit, and then once the other pilot, Will, got up in the air, we flew over to the river, which was supposed to honestly only be a 5 to 7 minute flight to the beach, so that we can technically say we're over the ocean on the West Coast. We're going to fly to the West Coast and be over the ocean on the West Coast to literally be legit, if you will. So that actually took, I think the time we got you in the air and we came back across the river, I think it was almost 40 minutes. So now we're technically should say about 40 minutes behind schedule. We get up and head southwest we're heading to Sunnyland, which is our starting point is on the east coast here on the map is the east coast of Florida. We come down to that first little turn. That is Sunnyland. We actually made it to Sunnyland. I think I flew for 2 hours and 15 or 2 hours and 20 minutes and landed. And when I landed, the owner of Sunnyland, Marco, he came out. He's like, "Hey, what are you guys doing? How's it going?" And I was like, "Hey, we're kind of in a hurry. We're trying to get across the state of Florida. We got to go." So we end up refueling. I changed my spark plug when I got to Sunnyland because my motor wasn't running right. And we refueled, set up, launched, and headed further west. And I think our next stop from there, Will, was supposed to be that little corkscrew thing in the road.
Yeah, it's supposed to be somewhere right around here, but I could never find that little spot around there. So ended up continuing on and stopped at Lake Placid. Right up here.
Hold on, don't get ahead of the schedule here.
Okay.
So actually 20 minutes or 20, I think it was 28 minutes after we left Sunnyland, I landed out into a nice little field next to the road. Text my wife to come get me. I actually took some thermals that did not work out well for me, and I decided it wasn't worth it. Now, Will, I don't know if you really want to talk about this, but I don't know what Will and I were thinking. Actually, I don't know what Mark Will and I were thinking, because I think we all left. Actually, I think uh, on Saturday, I think Mark left with 2.5 gallons of fuel.
I had my full tank and about 3 gallons.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think we should talk about it.
Yes. So here's one of the problems with this cross country thing. We did not bring enough fuel. You say, well, you could stop and get fuel. Yes, if we would have thought about bringing two-stroke oil. I don't know why, as we've talked about this, the trip, the mileage, what it's going to take, we never thought about how much fuel we're going to need. We should have each had 10 gallons apiece.
Yeah,
So,
agree.
so with that being said, I left with a full tank from Sebastian Airport. Will left with a full tank. We both had 5 gallons in the chase vehicle, thanks to Cupcake Krista. And when we landed at Sunnyland, I had probably a liter of fuel left. So I filled up another 10 liters, which left me with about 8 liters left in my tank. and and we are so far from if you look at the little 45 there on the track, we're not even close to the west coast. So technically me landing out at 28 minutes after, I want to say it was like, what time did I land, Will? Do you remember roughly? Was
Man,
it like
I
11 or something? Or no, it was like 10 o'clock when I landed.
yeah, it was
So
starting normally.
yeah, so I landed out at say 10 o'clock. I have really no idea. Um, and then we get all my stuff picked up and put in the truck, and my wife's like, she's like, are we gonna chase Will? I said, yes, we're gonna. Will's gonna keep going as long as Will wants to keep going. We're going. And then I started talking to her about fuel, and she's like, does he have enough fuel? I said, with what he has left, what I have, and the 11 liters that I just dumped in my paramotor, he should have enough fuel. I think after it was all over and done with, well, I think what you have, maybe a liter left in your gas can, in
Yeah.
in the in your red gas can, and fumes in your paramotor.
Well, I mean, you took a picture of that. I think that was what, a liter left
Mm-hmm.
in my tank.
Yep.
So yeah, and then the reason you need to talk about that is because if you're planning something like this, especially with fuel and oil, bring twice as much you think you're going to use. I mean,
Yeah.
what's the saying when they say a plan's only as good until the first shot's fired, something along those lines?
Well, I can tell you, if we both would have kept going, we would have both been done at the next fill up.
Yeah.
Which would have been literally right in the middle of the state. And so, do I feel bad about not being able to make this happen? Nope. And I'll tell you another reason why I'm super happy that I landed out when I did. I was going much slower than Will. And for me to keep up with Will, I had to dump my trimmers completely. And then I could keep up with them. Well, now I'm burning more fuel, which we don't have enough of. So the more I thought about it, the more I smiled sitting behind the wheel of the truck going, I'm glad I didn't keep going. Like it would have screwed both of us out of an option or out of the chance to do this. Honest to goodness, Will, if we would have both kept going, what would we have done?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So we would have to, get some fuel, some oil, or we'd have to make arrangements, and that would have we wouldn't have been able to continue the trip. I mean, this trip went from sunrise to sunset, and when I say sunrise to sunset, I mean
Yeah.
sunrise to sunset. So we didn't have a lot of time.
No, and I think you ended up landing in Lake Placid right around 11:15. And from there, we went to have lunch. And then after lunch, we drove around for 2 hours looking for an LZ because where you landed, am I supposed to tell you all this? Tell this part? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
So where Will landed was just sugar sand. Like the whole field was like trying to take off on the beach, and Will was not comfortable with that. Which, hey, if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. I'm totally fine with it. So we drove around for roughly I'd say an hour and 45 minutes till we found a little tiny. I want to say that thing was private. That was a private airstrip.
It was, yeah.
We may or may not have asked for permission off the side of the road. So we used the last bit of, or I know that I did not. So we filled Will's motor up. Will took off. My wife and I ended up going over to Lake Placid, or not Lake Placid. What was it? Arcadia. Jesus, which is right in there. Will actually, and that were you not surprised at how busy that airport was?
Yeah, it was a busy little field.
Did you notice I don't think you noticed, but there was a helicopter that came in down the runway right after you launched.
No, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, there was a full-on helicopter literally was coming in as you took off.
Really?
Yes. So Will takes off from Arcadia, and what I was doing as a chase vehicle is I would go up maybe 10, 12 miles ahead of him, and then I'd sit on the side of the road and I'd wait for him to get closer, and then I would leapfrog up a little bit further. This time, I was like, Will, you got to make it, because I'm going to the beach. And Krista and I, we took off, went to the beach, and I was just like, dude, at this point, he's not going to have enough fuel. I'm doing the math, and for him to land or to fly over the ocean and then go back to the airport, which is right on the beach, there's not enough fuel in his fuel tank. So I just texted him and said, dude, just land on the beach. The wind was literally coming out of the north down to the south. So landing on the beach would have been perfectly easy. And Krista and I got out of the truck. We walked down to the beach, enjoying a little moment as the sun was going down. And I don't know. I mean, some guy with blinking light came down the beach, and Krista pushed me to the side and started running down the beach for a real hero. And but there is. Go ahead, Will. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, first of all, three of us, we started out as six, if you think about it. And for whatever reason, life events and some injuries and stuff non-related to paramotoring, we ended up down to three. And all three of us made this journey, I assure you, because had I not had the support of Krista and Shane, there is no way in heck I would have been able to do this. I mean, zero chance. So, thank you guys for that. I mean, they were absolutely awesome. I mean, and you landed back here,
Right.
And so to follow me all the way across the state and then all the way back across the state after doing that already, driving over and then back, from 2 o'clock in the morning. So, that was just awesome. I do have. Go ahead.
Good. All right. So when I watch Mark Honeycutt go from gas station to gas station, I'm thinking to myself, there's no way I could do that. Even if I could pull up a map and have all the gas stations, that's too much. It's much easier. When I had landed, I called my wife before I landed, I said, dude, this is crap. I already just took 2 major collapses. I said, that's not worth it to me. And Will's heart set is to do this. I'm for him. I'm landing out. And she just turned around and followed me back or to where I was and picked me up on the side of the road. Dude, at no point do I feel bad. Do I feel like I missed out on something? No. Am I going to do it? Yes. Am I going to have a new wing that's a little bit faster? I believe I will. Krista already said she's more than happy to do it again for me and anybody else that wants to do it. But I got to have a little bit. I think my top speed was only 42 miles an hour. And that's, to me, it needs to be at least 48 to make it in a reasonable time. Because Will pushed it past the my comfort zone of flying before it gets thermally. So if I had a faster wing, I could fly just as long as Will did, but just not as late in the morning. And I would be able to fly in the afternoon without it being as thermally, because you left at 3 o'clock. and the sunset doesn't set here until what was it
6:45.
6:45. So it was still crap when I was watching him. We were sitting on the side of I believe it was 70, and I'm watching him come down the road, and I could see that wing was dancing. I'm like, man, I'm okay with sitting right here in my seat watching the air conditioning blow at my face. I was like,
Yeah, yeah. So Tony was asking, or no, Scuba was asking. First of all, Tony, it was 151 miles, slightly more because I made some diversions and stuff. But let's see. Tony was asking how many miles it was. It was 151. And Scuba was saying, did you hit thermals? And the answer to that is 100% absolutely yes. Plenty of thermals. My bump tolerance is pretty high, and at no time did I feel unsafe.
well, let me throw in another safety issue. So you said you diverted your route a couple times. The reason why is because when you're using your cell phone a uh, as a directional instrument and it loses signal and it lies to you, you
Yeah.
end up going, oh, I don't know, north, back to
Yep.
the south, to the east a little bit, then to west a little bit.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah, right. And one time it had me pointing directly into the sun. I'm like, dude, this can't be right. That's the way I came from. Even I know that's not right.
so
So, and
having
I was
okay,
learning, and this is something that I learned. You shouldn't do. But if you're using something new as a navigational aid or whatever, the worst time to learn how to do it is when you're flying. You know, and
right.
on a trip or whatever. So I just didn't have a chance to spend the time that I needed uh, to familiarize myself with it.
Hey, Will. Dana asked about your trim setting, and also I was curious, how many meter wing do you have?
Dana was asking what
If you were trimmed out?
I was trimmed out all the way. Yeah, and it's a 23-meter wing. And James, yeah, I could have flown higher, but the winds would have been worse. So it was what I ultimately ended up doing. Anyone who spends time in the sky on a partly cloudy day, you got patches of clouds, and the shadows. So I just kind of, wiggled my way around into the shadows, and I avoided as many thermals as possible. But all in all, for midday flying in Florida, I don't think we could have picked a better day. I mean, it's still bumpy, but it could have been a whole lot worse.
Nope, I actually was hoping for an overcast day. To be perfectly honest with you, if that was
Mm-hmm.
the case, then we would have been home by 5 o'clock that afternoon because we could have flown all
Oh,
day.
that would have been sweet.
You
All
know,
right.
but instead it was sunny with patchy clouds, and I was doing the same thing. I was going from shadow to shadow, and it was much better. But when I decided I was done, um, there was calculations involved. Like I said, I was going much slower. So, Will, if I would have continued and I was going slower, you would have had to circle back a couple different times, and we would have been behind time on getting to the sunrise or to the sunset. So,
Yeah.
truthfully, I honestly I don't feel bad about it. The more I thought about it, I was like, dude, this worked out perfect. Like I didn't slow him down. I didn't, I had extra fuel, and it, dude, I'm so happy for you. When we went to bed that night, I laid there and I told Krista. She's like, why are you fidgeting? And I was like, dude, I'm sitting here going, I'm happy for her. But I was in my head, but my body was jerking because I'm like, I'm happy for her. And she's like, well, stop. I'm trying to go to sleep. And I'm like, me too. But I was excited for you. I really was. I truly was. And when we pulled in the driveway, and I don't know what you were doing, Will, and I don't know if you got if it was a negative response that you took it as, but you were doing something like, well, we ain't got time, bro. I got to go to work in the morning. We got to get all this shit out of my truck. Like whatever you're doing right now, I don't care. Let's just dump it all. I just wanted to clear that truck.
Yeah,
And
I didn't even
get
catch that, but why I didn't catch it because I was on the same. I was exactly, man. I want to go to bed.
I don't know what you were doing. Something that was not part of cleaning that or getting the truck out, or like the stuff out of the truck. I was just like, well, we ain't got time, bro. I'm down to like 5 hours of sleep at this point.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, and you jumped up there and we knocked everything out.
Yeah.
And my wife, dude, that girl when I tell you she loves to sleep, and for her to get up 2 days in a row to go follow a bunch of idiots or plan to follow a bunch of idiots in paramotors, I mean, it speaks volumes of just how great of a person she is and how much she's willing to go above and beyond for her husband and his friends.
She's freaking awesome. Absolutely
Hey,
awesome.
hey, Will, what wing is that you flew?
It's a Mac Para Colorado
Okay.
23. It held up perfectly. Absolutely perfect. Couldn't ask for anything more. Now let me tell you how I saw the trip. What's this say? Lift paramotor, Austin. What did one plate say to the other plate? I have no idea. You know, Shane? Oh, dinner's on me. Ah! Okay. So starting out on this flight, everybody knows how much I love morning flights. I detest them. I hate morning flights. They're just not my thing. I know it's the most beautiful flying weather you could probably experience, and the smoothest air. I know I'm missing out, but they're just not my freaking thing. So I had 2 failed launches, and I had the third launch. I was successful, but let me show you. See that blue line right there? That blue line. You know what that is, Shane?
No.
That's your track waiting for me to launch.
Oh yeah, because there's the golf course. Yeah, I
I'm
didn't
this
realize.
I'm this little dot down here stuck on the ground.
Oh, I didn't even realize. Oh.
So I'm thinking, oh crap, man! I know Shane's up there. He's burning fuel, blah blah blah, and my wing's soaking freaking wet, and so there was that. And let me show you something else here if I can find it.
Will, I will tell you that I literally laid my wing out and was just absolutely dying to take off. And I'm like, dude, what is this guy doing? I'm ready to go. It's time to fly. It's time to fly. And I finally was like, all right, I'm gonna go.
Right
now, after you got ready to take off and launch, and you had a failed launch, dude, I was sitting there going, Will, calm down. Like, just relax. We're not in a hurry. I mean, we are, but not at this point.
Yeah, we're not in a hurry, but we are.
But here's the thing: if you screw up your launch, now it's going to take even longer. So that first, for me, I was just like, dude, take your time. I'm in no hurry. At no point was I mad, frustrated. I was actually riding a golf course, foot dragging the greens. I was having a good time. And then I had to remind myself not to waste fuel, because I was like going above the trees and then diving through the trees. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be saving fuel. Which, by the way, when you do a cross country like this, guess what? It is absolutely boring. It is so boring. You're just sitting there.
Yeah.
And by the way, Will, from behind following you, I don't know. I'm assuming you were listening to music, but all I seen was the one hand just doing this.
Doing that? Yeah, it wasn't like I assure you.
No, but I was dying.
It's like, dang, man, the whole way there. No, I was just tapping the bar, over the music.
I know what you were doing, but
I hope you do.
From my point of view, I was dying.
I'm going to keep that in mind for future flights. So okay, preset, present, share screen, and I'll just real quickly go through these.
Who's this great photographer you got going on here?
This is Krista. Man, she got my failed launches. Let me kind of zip on through here. Ready to go. Wing comes up, soaking wet, and it's a crosswind. And I didn't feel right about that. Killed it, set back up. By this time, I'm sweating. And I don't normally use the F-bomb, but I used it a few times on this one. So that was the first one. And
I will tell you, Krista called me and she's like, "Will, use the F-bomb." I said, "No, not Will."
Yeah, I did, man.
Even she was shocked. She was shocked. She's like, I don't think I've ever heard him say a bad word.
Let's see. So, and then this one was perfect. Wing came up perfect. I mean, it was a send. It was a full send. Everything just was perfect.
And do you know that Krista knows your routine? When we were at Arcadia, she's like, "Okay, what he's gonna warm up his motor. He's gonna hook in, and then he's gonna stretch out his lines, and then he's gonna take a step back, and then he's gonna warm his motor up or full throttle his motor, and then he's gonna stand up and he's gonna take off and then go. And watch what happens."
And I tripped. So, man, the F-bombs were flying out of my mouth. And right? I'm like, I hate these freaking morning launches, blah, blah, blah. This is why I don't like morning launches.
Now, 30.
Now we all have a trip in the last month or two.
Yeah.
It's like my legs just gave out, man. I was tired.
Yeah, but none of you guys landed on your face. That's just gonna point that out.
Well, that's true. I tend to put my arms out in front. How did you do that? I still don't know how you landed on your face.
I stayed in posture, man. Posture.
I guess.
And by the time I realized that I was falling, I had already hit my face on the ground.
The cloud base that day was, I want to say it was about 1,600 when we left. It wasn't real low, wasn't real high. It was just kind of, you know.
Do we want to talk? Do we want to talk about how many close midair collisions we had with aircraft?
The two in Okeechobee, I don't know if they were close. I mean, I was keeping an eye on both of them that I saw.
Hey, when the headlights of a airplane levels off and they're both pointing at me, whatever you want to call it,
light, man.
I don't give a. Hey, listen, I was a deer in the headlights when that thing was coming at me. I was like, holy crap.
So okay, one more, and then.
Hey, I'm gonna make a TikTok out of that and just play the song "Hoedown" as you go down on your knees.
You can TikTok the heck out of that, man. Enjoy it. Okay, so this was the third attempt. So I would have. I was considering not even continuing. Check.
So drag the pond.
Yeah. So that was that, and this. One more. What time is it? Oh man, it's freaking 8:48.
I told you this show was gonna fly by.
Yeah, but I'm pumped.
No. There's so much more we could talk about. I mean, we just barely hit.
So this is a benefit of gaggle. So you can see never trust a skinny chef Shane circling, waiting. And I'm this other little dot here. And I'm going to fast forward. I finally launch. And
now we're heading for the egg because we're in the birthing canal.
Yeah. I don't know why why is your sperm tail much longer than mine?
Superior.
Apparently. I mean, something's going on there. I don't know what in the world's going on there. Anyways, we fly over the intracoastal and, get sufficient altitude. So I think about 2,000 feet there, just in case the motor stopped. Always had an out in mind. And we went over to the beach and foot drug the beach and then headed our way over towards Okeechobee. So it was pretty much, the same thing that it was a visual. That's all it was. It was a visual. So ask me if I would do it again, Shane.
Would you do it again?
I don't think so.
I already knew the answer, but I just went ahead and played along with the game there.
Yeah, I don't think I would. I'm glad that I did it, but man, it was grueling.
Let's just call it 2 hours and 45 minutes that I did. I'm still sore because here's what a lot of people don't know. The wind was actually blowing. We were going southwest. The winds were coming straight out of the east. So I was having to hold, even with trimmer out on one side, and weight shifting, I still had to hold. And at one point, I reached over with my right hand, was holding my left brake, and I just left my arms like this, like the weight of it. I was like, holy crap, I'm tired of holding just this one. And then when we finally turned a little bit to head towards Sunnyland, I was just like, oh, thank God. I dropped both hands and they were hanging below the seat, and I was like trying to pump my hands to get circulation in them. I was like, and I got to do this the whole damn way? I'm like, no, this sucks. But yes.
John's killing it.
What's he said? I missed it.
I got to find it now.
Hey, Shane, and before the show's over, mention what's going on with the fly at for gauge flying.
Yes. What's behind me? Get out of the way. June 8th through 11th. It's going to be over there in Bowling Green, Florida. It's a fundraiser to raise money for the scholarship in my son's name, who passed of cancer in 2015. All proceeds, and I do mean all, are going to a scholarship. It's called a good Gage Robbins Good Citizenship Award. Each, depending on how much money is raised, depends on how many students will get a $500 scholarship for college or what have you. As of right now, everything is a go. There are one or two little things that can happen. Even if it turns out a negative, it's still going to happen because everything's a go. But it may change on becoming a $50 pilot fee to a donation if it's a no. So, but it's still going to happen. So,
but it's still a go.
Yes, it's still a go. It just will change from a guaranteed $50 to a donation.
Okay, cool.
What do you got there, Will?
That's what I don't have that concerns me. That's how much fuel that I had left. Now, Shane, this is something else that I learned. Your fuel was clear, was it not? Or clearish? It was clearer than my fuel.
Well, that's because my tank is clear, is white, because I don't use crappy gas. I use aviation fuel.
Yeah, but what oil? What color is your oil?
Oh, red.
Okay, it was red. Okay. So when you're flying along, even with a mirror, it can be very difficult to determine how much fuel you have left. So instead of, some people say, okay, you can take a picture of it. What works best is to take a video of it. Just hold the camera back there for a little bit, and that way you can kind of see the swish. If it's a picture, it's a still shot. You can't really tell. But using the video, it was much easier to determine how much fuel that I had. So just throwing it out there for what it's worth. And
and by the way, real quick for the fly it for gauge, What we're waiting on is the sheriff's department to give approval that they'll send a guy or two during the day um, to monitor traffic or what have you, and they need a ambulance and or fire truck out there at the time of flying. So those are the two things we're waiting on, more or less. So
Okay, but you still don't know whether it's going to be a donation or
yeah, as of right now, it's set up as a $50 pilot fee. If it changes, it'll be a big announcement. We'll make a whole thing about it and go from there. As of right now, it is set as is as a $50 pilot fee. Again, um, if you're boondocking, you will stay. Or if you're boondocking, it's $10 a night out back. You pay when you get there. If you want power and water, it's a little less than $28 a night. You will have to call them and make reservations. If you show up there wanting power and water and they don't have a site, then you're going to get boondocking. So that money goes to the park. It has nothing to do with the fly-in. The park gets their money, and pilot fees and stuff like that all goes towards paying for the liability insurance. What's left over will go to the scholarship. So really, the only one that's going to really make a lot of money is the insurance liability company, giving the
right.
rich people more money.
Right.
So
There's a couple other things I wanted to show.
we'll
We
do
have-
it.
All right, man. This is the final little thing here. This was the very last leg. And when you're looking at a GPS, you know how it says 5.0, 4.9, 4. It all starts counting down. On my way to this airport, I knew if I made it to this airport, worst case scenario, I would freaking walk my paramotor to the beach.
Well, no, you could have just glided in from there.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Did you tell them about the winds at this point? It had switched.
It had switched, so it was pretty much a headwind all the way from the last leg to the beach. And yeah, so that was another reason for really keeping close track. Oh, what the heck? That was another reason for we were having to keep a close track on the fuel. Here. Did I lose you?
No, we're good.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm reading the chat. I try not for anybody in the chat. I try not to read the chat because just like I just did, I'm busy reading. Will's asking me questions or asking questions, and I'm not replying. I can't do two things at once.
Are we missing anything, Mark?
No, Scuba asked what time you landed. You landed realistically about 15 minutes before legal time was over.
No, 30, almost 30 minutes.
Yeah. Let me tell you, it was dark.
Yeah, I don't know how the heck they figure, because you landed, golly. Actually, Gaggle will tell you. It'll tell you the time on there when you landed. And sunset was, I think you could have flown to, was it 6:42 or 7:42?
It was like 6:45.
Yes, something like that. And you landed right at 6:15, I think it was. But it was dark. It was dark.
Yep. It sure was.
And we wanted you to fly to the other side of that dock right there because we were actually parked in that parking lot right there, north of the bottom of your screen is north. And Will's like, "No, you guys haven't done enough for me today. Come carry my stuff 150, 200 yards from the damn truck."
I didn't get that text until after I landed,
Oh, Chris and I are out there.
I'm worried that I'm going to run. I possibly could run out of fuel. I mean, worst case scenario at that point, I just landed at the beach. And so I'm like, let me, this is close enough, man.
So here's the best part. Chris and I look like two idiots waving our flashlights like this as we can see you coming down the beach. And she's like, "Can you see me?" I go, "Krista, it's dark out here." And of course, we're the only light on the beach. And what you do? Literally, like, just miles away from us.
I didn't know. I just did not know. So PPG Cruiser, if you need to land at a new airport during cross country, stay low under 600 feet and stay out of the traffic pattern. and you'll be good to go. Tell Karen you're sorry. Fuel check. I don't know what that means. About the tell Karen you're sorry.
In other words, tell whoever's complaining,
Oh
that
yeah.
you
Well, okay. I
fuel and
get
shit.
what he's saying. So yeah, you do want to stay under. When I fly out of an airport, new or not, I stay under the traffic pattern and get out of Dodge as quickly as possible. And I familiarize myself though what the traffic pattern is. At mine, it's right traffic for helicopters and non-fixed wing, left traffic for fixed wing. We got them on both sides. So yeah, that's a good point.
Well, I didn't bother going through all the rigmarole where you can and can't fly at Sebastian because I knew you were going to follow me over to the beach. But normally, the reason we go to the north and then go across is so we don't go to the end across the end of the runway. But that morning, I pulled up the flight radar 24, and there was no traffic in the area, and I was like, we have to go south, so we cut right across the end of the runway and took off towards the south over the river. Now, on the way back across that river, I broke my own golden rule, and when I got to the almost the midway, I was only at 800 feet, where I'm normally 15 to 1600 feet, and I was like, dude, if this Joker dies right now,
Yeah.
I am so screwed. But everything worked out clearly. I'm still here. But
And Paul, I believe Paul was asking if there's going to be some food at the gauge fly-in, and I believe they're still working on some food trucks.
yeah, the county is actually going to have. So the county is working with us. They're going to actually have invite. They're going to invite food trucks to come out, and I know on Saturday night we're going to do a pulled pork dinner. The whole recipe or the whole menu hasn't been done yet, but it's going to be somewhere between $8 and $10, depending on how many people want to eat. Blah blah blah. So there's a ton of stuff I'm working on. I'm working with the county. There's communications back and forth, and it's we still got a few months before we have to really bear down on it, but everything is going very smooth right now. Everything's a yes, 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 yes. So we're just waiting on the fire department and the sheriff's department to give us a yes, and then it's a 100%.
So the commissioners or whatever, all of that's a go.
Yep. The board has approved it. Everything has just been yes, yes, yes. Everybody's excited about it. And the other reason the park is so excited about it is because they're actually gonna advertise in the local area because they get $5 a car through the gate. So they're actually going to have it set up to where we're able, and who in this sport does not like to show off in front of a crowd, but they're going to actually have it set up so where we can take off and land if we want up front or fly over, do touch and goes, whatever, drop little army men with parachutes to the crowd, whatever. They're going to have that all set up front. So you can go and do your acro, whatever you want, right in front of a bunch of people. Who doesn't love that?
Oh, hold on. I mean, nobody. I guess everybody kind of likes that, So long as you keep it in check. Okay. And then one last thing. Mark sent this earlier, and Bill H. I think he mentioned it in the chat for Gaggle, which is becoming a pretty gosh darn nice app. Has now got live air traffic updates. Now, Bill H., you say that they're doing it now, or so it's already available, or they're gonna implement it?
I think they're going to.
That's how I read it. But either way, that's cool. The question I would have is that going to require a subscription? I would
pay it. I would pay it. I'm telling you right now, after what happened on this cross country, I would pay it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Bill's right. I think it is up and running already.
Okay. I don't know. Hey, if I knew what was swimming around me in the ocean, I probably wouldn't go in the ocean. But my head's always moving when I'm flying. It's just a constant looking around.
Hey, 2 feet in the heartbeat. Is that a goat you're flying with in your profile? It looks like a goat. Can you
Huh?
see that?
Either that or a cow. No, it's a goat.
Huh, that's bad. I love it.
That's awesome, man. I need
um,
to know more.
yes, yes. I totally have to know more about that. I actually had some goats here. Loved them, but we're so active, and I can't ask all my friends to come over and feed my goats twice a day. So we gave them back to where we got them. But what do you need to host a fly-in? Liability insurance, property, and hours upon hours of organization, because it is. I can't tell you since we did the what do you call it, the mini fly-in over there at Hardy Lakes. I have probably put in guaranteed, no exaggeration, 50, 60 hours between phone calls, just emails, text messages, information, calling about insurance. It's a whole lot. So, and it's slow. All information, unless you got your own property, it's it's tough. But um, I'm doing it for my son and his scholarship in his name, so it's worth it to me. Um, Anything else?
Yeah, Jim, we probably should give a shout out to our chatters, but Jim,
Oh,
Jim Care PPG, Samard, hope you're having fun, man.
yeah,
Oh,
I've been
blast.
watching. What's he on, day 15? Uh,
I don't know, but that's a journey, really.
yeah, yeah. I started watching when he went through customs and all the way up to. I think he's on day 15 right now. So, Will, do you want to give a shout out to the chatters real quick, and I'll be
I
right
do.
back.
I
All
do.
right, cool, cool, cool.
Hey, if you're planning on doing a cross country, the one that I did, I mean, I know I have nothing but mad respect for people like Harley Milne. I don't know how these guys do it. It was so grueling for me just to cross Florida. So kudos to those guys. That the 50X challenge, and man, that's a different breed right there. So and thanks again to Krista and Shane. Uh, I couldn't have done it without those guys. So, chatters, we got Mad Sloper, Jason Russell Smith. What's up, Jason? I didn't even know you were here, dude. Linda Anderson, Greg Laney, Scuba's in the house, Slow Days, Paul Marzano, John Wayne, Fly Baby Fly. What's up, your Yankees? Gregson and Mark McElroy. What's up, Mark? Slow Days, Angela Presslick, Mad Sloper, I think I said. Bill H, what's up, man? James, gotta fly sometime. Scuba, got Scuba. On down the list. Keith Gray, hey Keith, what's up? I still owe you stickers, I haven't forgotten. Brian Haybale Waller, what's up, man? Um,
Hey, Will, real quick.
Sean Simon's in the house. What's up, Sean? PPG Grandpa. What?
Hey, real quick. Dave Wolf just showed up, so don't say Dave Wolf's name on this show. If he's just gonna, Dave Wolf is just gonna show up at the end. So
I will not.
don't say Dave Wolf.
I will not say David Wolf. No.
Okay, moving on, moving
I'm
on.
not going to do it. It was David Wolf that I wasn't supposed to say, right?
Correct,
Yeah.
David Wolf. Yes, got it.
All right, I think I got it. Let's go down now. Danny Roosh, what's up? I accepted your friendship request today. John Wayne, we got. Bill H. Becoming harder and harder. I hope I don't miss someone. Paramotor NC, what's up, Ben? And Mr. Dana 54. Hey, Dana, what's going on, man? Going to be seeing you here soon at some fly-ins, I'm sure. Did I say Angela Presley? PPG Cruiser. What's going on, man? And Goldie Teal. Hello. Live Paramotor. Austin, what's going on? Man, we had a lot of chatters today. Slow Days. We got. Make sure I don't miss anyone.
And Kramer just got home and got online.
What's up, Kramer? What is up? PPG Pirate. What's up, man?
Hey, Will, do you say Angela's name twice because that's the only time she's ever going to get something twice in one night?
I don't know. Speaking of
Oh.
which, did I mention Tony Marzano? He's in the chat.
Yeah.
Let's see here. All right. I'm pretty sure that I got. No, wait. Wasn't there someone else down at the bottom?
If not, we can refund their money.
I don't like to miss anyone, you know, so I do my best. David Wolf, not supposed to say his name.
Yeah, don't say that guy's name. David Wolf. No, don't say it. No.
2 feet and a heartbeat. Jim
Yes.
Kidd, PPG.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, I would like to talk to that guy. I'm more okay. So I'm more curious of his name than I am the profile picture, but I'm also curious of the profile picture.
Yeah, me too. Well, number one, I want to know if it's real, and number two, I'd love to see some video. That'd be awesome.
Oh, they're not real. Oh, what are we talking about?
And number 3, kill the screen share.
Yeah,
Oh.
Will.
Why didn't you
God,
tell me that?
Just take over
I
the
just
show.
did.
Oh man. Hey, listen, guys, I greatly appreciate it. I honestly think there's a whole nother hour worth of info. I mean, there's so many things that go into it. So many things we didn't anticipate, such as the wind switching and all the information on wind and weather showed favorable out of the east to the west, and it turned out to switch in the middle of the day, and stuff you just don't know with the weather what's going to happen. Like it's thanks, Bill H. What Aaron? Okay. Will.
Yeah.
2 feet and a heartbeat. Did you can you work on that one since you have your
Yeah. Oh, and did anyone ever respond to, do you know who the other person was? The guy in the back of the video that we started, the
Oh
Mid-air.
yes, the pilot, the new pilot in the back, the one that.
Yeah, you know who that was.
If you could let us know, we greatly appreciate it because we'd like to find out some more information if you could.
Yeah, and I really want to encourage that guy.
Yes, same here. All right. Will, where can we find you in 6 months from now? This video, a cross-country video that you're going to put out?
Busting my balls, man. You can find me on on YouTube. Just look for Will Fly, or online willflyppg.com.
Mr. Mark, where can we find you?
On YouTube at Paralife PPG.
And you can see my video of the cross country tomorrow. 18 minutes of it is just me flying around Sebastian Airport waiting for a guy to take off. I'm just kidding. I don't have any. No, I have no video. I videotaped my takeoff and flying to the beach, and then after that, I pretty much whatever. So you guys can find me at ppgshane.com on here on YouTube and or TikTok, and my channel name on here is Never Trust Skinny Chef Shane. It's just easier for the community to remember ppgshane.com than it is Never Trust Skinny Chef Shane. So,
and congrats,
all right,
Kramer.
Yes. I missed what congratulating him.
Oh, he is on his 11th flight.
Oh, sweet.
Yep.
Dude, I remember those. Okay. Angela, give me a call here in a little bit. Rest of you guys, good night. Thank you very much. Oh, I got to do the outro. Always forget. You got one job, Mark. One job.
Good night, y'all.
Good night, guys.
I've got a lot to say, can't hold it in this time. Got no filter, I got